Now, how about this? It is Earth Month. As you know, Earth Day happened last week, and we are here to talk about the importance of recycling. Not just recycling, but electronic recycling. And with the EPRA, Electronics Products Recycling Association, we have Jay Illingworth, the Director of Harmonization. I like that. What is a Director of Harmonization?
Yeah, it's a truly Canadian title, isn't it?
That's a good title.
Well, the reason I'm the Director of Harmonization is because we have different programs rolling out right across Canada, and we're trying to keep them consistent for consumers and for industry. So
okay,
that's what we're trying to do.
So tell us, I mean, obviously your organization, pretty straightforward, Electronic Products Recycling Association.
Yeah.
How long have you guys been around for?
The program here in Ontario has been around since 2009. And around that time, the industry actually recognized the fact that our old end-of-life devices, our cell phones, our printers, our computers, they shouldn't be going to landfill. And they certainly shouldn't be going to a third world nation that doesn't share the same kind of environmental and health and safety standards that we have here in Canada. And so the industry stepped up and started putting together a program to roll out right across the country. And we've been active here in Ontario since 2009 to do that. So
are we saying that before 2009 this was clearly an issue? People were just
absolutely
not recycling properly.
Absolutely, Dylan. In fact, what was happening and is still happening in certainly jurisdictions outside of Canada is electronic devices are either going to landfill or they're being improperly recycled. And if they're being improperly recycled, they're exposing the people that are recycling it to some hazardous materials, and you have to be careful about that. So there's both an environmental side, but there's also an economic side. And the economic side is the material recovery. The fact that these devices do have precious metals in them, glass, plastic, silver, stuff that can be recovered and put back into the supply chain.
Okay. So a statistic here, which is interesting, 96% of Ontarians live about 10 kilometers from a recycling drop-off location.
Right.
A free one as well, which is very good. So where would they be in Ottawa?
So in Ottawa, they're at many of the major electronics retailers have drop-off centers. Some of the thrift shops and people like the Salvation Army, you can drop it off. I know that's the closest one for me is an Alta Vista bank in Alta Vista. There's a Salvation Army where I can drop off my electronics. It's part of our network. There's various locations. The best thing to do is to go to our website, which is recyclemyelectronics.ca. Type in your postal code and it'll show you depot locations very close to you.
Okay, so we're talking cell phones, laptops, electronics, stuff like that, but what other items, well, first of all, maybe you can give us some more items, and then some items that we didn't even know were recyclable.
Sure. Well, and I think the important thing to undernote here is the fact that electronics have materials that should be recycled, right? I mean, you know that we all feel like aluminum cans should be recycled because there's aluminum. Well, there's a host of materials in electronics. There's the precious metals, like gold and silver and palladium, that should definitely be there. But there's also substances that we have to be careful with, lead, mercury, cadmium. So that's why we want to take those devices back, send them to processors that have met our standards in terms of environmental and health and safety standards, so they're going to be recycled properly, and then recover those materials and put them back into the supply chain. Really, it's a wide range of things. It's the old CRT televisions, you know, those old heavy, thick televisions that we still get in our basement or in our attics. Those are a big one that should be brought in for recycling. It's the old stereo systems, you know, the ones from the 70s with Corinthian leather and, you know, it's like a beautiful piece of furniture, but there's also an 8-track player embedded in there. We'll take those back from you, too. So any of that stuff that's hanging around, you're not using it anymore, bring it back in and allow us to recycle it and recycle it responsibly. Do
you often see a lot of, I mean, because you're talking about gold. I mean, do people actually donate or recycle gold, stuff like that? It's obviously worth something still,
no,
right?
they would be selling the gold stuff directly, trust me. But no, it's really, there's fragments of gold in a lot of electronics with the connectors and those sort of things. But when you recycle thousands of tons of them over time, you can recover those and actually put those back into the supply chain. So it's important.
So you created this this foundation. I mean, we're going back to 2009. Is the problem still
absolutely?
Is it a major problem at this point, though?
Well, Canada, first of all, has regulations right across the country that require manufacturers of electronics not to put stuff into the landfill. So that's why we've stepped forward on behalf of those major manufacturers, the retailers, anybody basically who's distributing electronics. So that's a good thing. But there are still, there is stuff that's going offshore in Canada. We know that. We're trying to control it as much as possible. That's why we're trying to make the program as accessible and easy for consumers to access. And I think we've moved from sort of an awareness level, and now it's an action level. So I think people are aware that, yeah, I probably shouldn't put my cell phone into the blue box or into the garbage. I probably should recycle it. And now it's all about making sure that we're making convenient options for them to do so, and making sure that we're underlining the fact that their data is going to be secure and that their device is going to be recycled and recycled responsibly.
Which is important because it gives people peace of mind, right?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so I'm assuming a list of items that can be recycled and drop-off locations available at your website?
Absolutely. Recyclemyelectronics.ca.
Perfect. Happy Earth Month.
Thank you. Same to you. Thanks for having me.
Jay Illingworth with us here to kick off the show on Rogers Daytime. We've got so much more to look forward to. How about this? We've got, if you're thinking about gardening and making your yard work much easier, we've got many tips next with a good friend on Daytime.